Hello, Howard Owens, publisher of the Batavian here. Thank you for your patience, people who've been waiting. We got actually quite a few people already online for tonight's poetry reading. I really appreciate that. Sorry there was some technical difficulties, and it looks like we got a technical difficulty again. Now we're live again. So this is Howard Owens at the Batavian. It looks like we got live and now went off. Second time that's happened today. But at any rate, we are live now. Sorry for the delays. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. We're going to be doing this a little differently than planned. We've got two of our poets tonight joining us via Zoom and one via Skype. So it'll change a little bit how I manage things. But we should get everybody have a chance to read tonight. We have three poets from Western New York joining us. They are Scott Williams and Maria Sebastian and Christopher Wade. We'll have them in that order. I really appreciate their time. So first of all, why don't we'll jump in with Scott. By the way, this is National Poetry Month, so thank you all for joining us for this, and do appreciate it. So Scott Williams, he's after 41 years at the University of Buffalo. Dr. Scott Williams is Professor Emeritus of Mathematics with national honors as a teacher and researcher. He is a creator of famous websites such as that as the Harlem Renaissance Poet, Gene Toomer, and the African American History of Western New York. Scott's poems have appeared in Le Mot Juste. My French is horrible. I may be getting that wrong. Juniper Poetry, Punch Drunk Press, Peach Mag, Buffalo News, Niagara Gazette, and Owl Light News. He's authored 6 chapbooks, the most recent, Natural Shrinkage, which was from Destitute Press in 2018, and he edits flash fiction and poetry anthologies, A Flash of Dark, volumes 1 through 3. So, Scott, thank you for joining us, and let me make sure we get you on the screen here before you start reading. Scott, you're on the screen now. So introduce your poems for us, please. Hopefully everybody heard the introduction earlier, and I'll use that from before. If you could just go ahead and tell us what you're going to read, and go ahead and start. Thank you.
In the headlights, Scott's Camry cruises 100 miles on Interstate 90. Below speeding tickets, miles per hour above speed limits. Trucks are as trees. Tonight's cruise control is at 80, 15 over. A tsunami tank high on Michelin's. Air turbulence drowning white dotted lines. Passing an 18-wheeler on the right, grass is in the gully beyond the left shoulder. A deer, just spotted in the lane ahead, lies injured, raises her head toward the oncoming car. Her eyes bleed. No time for decision, or speedier fuck, shit, damn, emotion time. Only his body's 60-year driving experience recognizes straddling the deer is the safest, best hope for 2 passengers and himself. Ka-thump, bump, the bump underneath the sedan, whose rear barely remains in the lane, and it's done. Scott is dull and confused, mouths his friend's expelled air. All hear his fuck, shit, damn. Now here is where extraordinary love might take form, where he could pull over, honor dear's life, where he could get out, perhaps drag the deer out of the lane, perhaps dig a memorial ditch, perhaps see what needs to be done to transcend membership as an ordinary human. Yet here is where Scott exhibits his laminated, shiny, ordinary human card deck. Scott hopes the deer isn't thrashing on the road. Scott pretends the accident didn't exist. Scott then continues driving onward. Scott hopes the new engine noises do not indicate expensive car problems. With engine fire imminent, Scott slows driving. 5 miles later, phones AAA, exits car, only to present doctor details to police. Later, savvy Scott isn't surprised by daytime haunting large, entreating doe eyes, and some unseen motherless fawns born William Stafford style from dying mother. 2 days later, the trip is repeated with rental SUV. The cruise control is set to the speed limit. Sometimes he slows to highway minimum 40. 2 weeks later, the drive must be repeated. Receiving 4,000 plus repair bill, his groveling senses deaden. He formulates excuses to cease the interstate travel. Awakening, Scott's eyes indicate a resurfacing modicum of gumption. He dedicates a morning's writing about the dear, the dead, and the dying self. For, for 11 of the years of my 50 years mathematics, I was also an artist blacksmith. This is from that time. Womp, womp, womp. Bing, bing. Womp, womp, womp. Bing, the bing. I love the rhythm and sound. Hammer on the steel and anvil. I love the flexing of muscles and arms, shoulders, and back. Attention minus thinking as I hammer. Womp, womp, womp. Bing, the bing. Search and remove fire impurities. Metal filings and stones, steel heat. Shovel more coal and grow heat. Make a white hot cave of coal to put the rod in the cave. Womp, womp, womp. Bing, the bing. The rod's black shift. The rod's black shift, reddening comes. Sun white, sparking, starting to burn steel. Ungloved hand holding other end of steel. Lift steel from cave to the big anvil. The striking hammer's hand relaxed, mind is silent, observant. Time to forge metal onto itself. Welding steel. Womp, womp. Hit anvil rhythm. Bing. To weld steel. Womp, womp, womp. Anvil rhythm goes bing, the bing. Hit steel. Womp, womp. Forge until molecules attach. The two places are now one. Mind remains silent, observant, prepared to change metal shape, prepared to change my attitude. This poem was written in response to a poet who complained about Pluto not being a planet. This is called King of the Underworld. It's a list poem. This excitable little boy learns the bodies of the solar system in order after the almighty sun, 9 planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, then gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Finally, the king of the underworld, wee little Pluto, so far out all alone. Light from the sun takes 8 minutes to reach us. Light from the sun can take 5 hours to reach Pluto. We were once taught of the 9 distinct planets, but now Pluto is not one. It's a planetoid. Pluto isn't even the biggest planetoid. Hecate, goddess of choice, is our moon, We don't call her a planet, and Pluto is a quarter smaller, so why should it be special? Our moon is a planetoid, so Pluto is too. Planetoids are runty, would-be planets, you see. And astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson said, stop your whining about the king of the underworld. Now, if you count Karen, yeah, the dude carrying the boat Taka on the river Styx, Karen is a so-called moon Pluto, a moon nearly as large as Pluto. Together, Pluto and Karen paired would be bigger than our moon, and paired they might even be a planet. But they're not, but they're two, not one. Singularly, Pluto and Karen are both planetoids. So stop your whining about the king of the underworld. Between Mars and Jupiter, there is the planetoid once thought the fifth planet. It's Ceres, goddess Argus. People once called a planet, and maybe a piece of an exploded one. Jupiter's moon, servant to god Ganymede, is larger than Mercury. So either Ganymede is a planet, or Mercury is a planetoid. Saturn's moon, elder god Titan, is twice the size of Pluto. So stop your whining about the king of the underworld. Then there's sweet, wandering, former 10th planet Eris, the goddess of strife. More massive than Pluto, Eris is a planetoid beyond Pluto. There are more planetoids than Greek and Roman gods together. The Easter Island god, the planet Makemake, has its own moon. The planetoid Haumea, Hawaiian god of childbirth, has two moons. So face it, pal, this ain't astronomy is what you were taught. So stop your whining about the king of the underworld. Okay, surprise, and far freaking out. There is a ninth planet, and it's as large as the Earth. It is called Nibiru. Light from the sun once took 2 days to reach Nibiru. Of course, some deny its existence. More even deny Nibiru will hit the Earth next year. If it does, then our planet explodes and we all die. So stop your damn whining about the king of the underworld.
And so we're now going to hear from Chris Wade. He's 28, father of two. He had a troublesome upbringing and never applied himself in school. Wasted 8 years after high school working in a minimum wage, dead-end positions. One night he was going over his bills and it occurred to him that if he put in the effort, he could do anything by now. And he decided to create a better life for his family. And no matter what the obstacles came his way, he decided to earn a degree. He started as a communications major and thought he wanted to work in television. Realizing that wasn't for him, he changed his major at the end of his first semester and is currently pursuing a master's degree so he can teach English. He said he never thought of himself as a poet. He writes lyrics but didn't have any appreciation for poetry not found inside an album cover. And I can relate to that. It was lyrics that got me into writing poetry. This semester, he's been experimenting with alternate forms of poetry, and he's gotten good feedback from his instructors. So, Chris, you are on.
Thank you. And I would like to note quickly that most of what I'm going to read today I actually wrote for this, because a lot of what I had I wasn't sure if it would, strictly speaking, adhere to FCC regulations. So this first one I've got as sort of lyrical as Pineapple Cherry Pie. No sound, someone get me downtown, found me at the impound, strung out in the car. Tonight I gazed into a black light. My God, this doesn't feel right. I've finally gone too far. Can't close my eyes or call for help. I'm really beside myself. But wait, am I really beside myself? Red in my eyes, dreaded demise. I can't feel a thing but my temperature rise. Lying alone in a puddle of sweat, promising God to make good on a debt. If only I had less to regret. Is this the end of my days or another haze? Is it now my time to die? Damn you, liquid devil, pineapple cherry pie. And that was that one.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep. And wrote this one here after lost a cousin over the summer. It's quite shocking and jarring. I call this one Folly. It's, want not the poppy, oh sweet child, for it will make you ill. The vibrancy of youth yields itself to winter's gray. Swing sets lie abandoned, where as children we would play. No laughter haunts this bitter breeze, no sing-song to and fro. Buried are the memories, entombed beneath the snow. Eat not the poppy, O sweet child, they have been known to kill. The chill that grips the night amplifies the frosted moon. Candles lit in silence, burning decades still too soon. The mother calls for whom she will, they say she knows the best. Fret not the minor details, child, the time has come to rest. Beware the poppy, O sweet child, or leave a void to fill. And got one here. It's called. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying thank you. I had sound volume down when I said thank you before, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm honestly kind of glad I didn't end up having to follow that gentleman with the awesome credentials. That was making me pretty nervous. So this next one I've got here, it's called The Current. Well, so it's tick-tock, ticking, talking, never takes a break. Slowing for no one, the river rushes on. In its time, your vessel ages out and turns to rot. When you start to take on water, make a list of everything on board. See what you can throw away, what needs to stay on deck. You may find you need to keep it all and make yourself at peace. Learn to love the water and submerge yourself with grace. As for the rest of us, we frantically throw out our junk, leaving naught but oars to bear. Praying to find a dock, we promise to do better. We beg for just a mile more, desperately trying to glue it together, but never will it hold. The water breaches our vessel, the current pulls us down, erasing our existence as it does for all.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Since here's a full circle. Throw out a young. It was terrible news, a life sentence to serve. The world that I loved turned itself upside down when her company didn't arrive. She must have conspired, malicious, deliberate, hatched a plot born out of spite. She carried a burden, terrible plague, and fingered me for the afflictor. Then I, the accused, strapped on an anklet, my trial dragged nearly a year. When the judge came into the room, they presented the victim, laid out their case, and it was clear the jury was out. There was no waking up and nowhere to run. I pulled out the keystone, severed my lifeline, leaving me stranded and bare. When I took the stand in my own defense, the words holed up deep in my throat. But then, upon seeing the truth of the matter, glimpsing a wonderful soul, I had to admit I had erred and begged for my forgiveness. Forgiveness that I needed, though completely undeserved. As I stared in the miniature mirror, my head rang and swam with a buzz. Euphoric waves swirled through my being and a smile crept over my face. I wept and rejoiced, reborn in that moment, riding on narcotic waves higher than any bag could provide. And this one here I've got, it's the cookie jar. I unsurprisingly wrote for my super stinky children. So, peeking around the corner, they sneak on tippy toes, careful to avoid the guard, as they sneak into the vault. They take the light brown freckled coins and make their getaway, pitter-patter through the halls and divvy up the loot. They chuckle and grin, this dastardly duel, applauding themselves, enjoying their fruits, ignorant of the impending investigation. They may have been seen and reported, perhaps they left something askew. When the pair heard the sirens, they felt the world slipping away. The heat on their tail was relentless. Following a trail of fresh breadcrumbs, the guard found his way to the door. He called on the two to surrender. He swore that he meant them no harm. The door reluctantly opened, revealing 4 flats of a hand. They hung their heads low as they shambled listlessly on towards the jail, maintaining their innocence until their release. The tired old guard took a breath, allowed him a rest and a sigh. The only thing he knew was a given is they won't eat their dinner tonight. And I've got just one last one here, Tender Karma, if I still have time to share.
Go ahead, Chris.
I swear to offer shelter, free of charge or inquiry, regardless of the circumstance, just like you did for me. Humble my abode may be, it has a certain comfort, meager perhaps, but handcrafted, built brick by brick with the tools that you gave me. This pillow is stuffed with the shifts that you took when I learned what it means to provide. It's lonely and cold, but fluffed and secure, held together by labor and love. The quilt that I offer was made with precision, each beautiful square, another transgression, the threads woven in strict discipline. Quilting it was a discomfort, but had I been deprived, I would have surely froze. The bed frame supporting your mattress is the sturdiest wood in the land, a permanent fixture, and yours irrevocably. Each board a year under your roof. Every fever you nursed a piece of sandpaper tenderly smoothing the edge. The nails and bolts are cuts and breaks, tightening in tune with your care. Made sure to provide good lumbar support to help you find your relief for your burdens. I hope you accept it, this bed made of karma. I hope that you feel at ease. I'll carry you out like you carried me in, and I'll pass on your tools to my own. And that's it. That's what I've got for you tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I enjoyed that, and I'm seeing comments now in the live chat, and people are enjoying that too. We have a pretty decent audience right now, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're in the middle of a live stream poetry. For those of you who've been with us from the beginning, you know we had some technical difficulties. For that, I apologize. This was intended to be done with Skype into a program I use called Ecamm Live. And the interesting thing was we had trouble with Skype into Ecamm Live. I couldn't see everybody. We now have our other 2 poets in Skype, and they're seeing them all. Now, the transitions I'm going to do right now to the poets will not necessarily be smooth because we didn't have a chance to set that up before. But we're going to do that. And Maria, are you ready?
I'm ready.
And I can hear you. So let me... I am going to, first of all, get it set up so that we can see you properly, and then I'll do your introduction. So just everybody bear with me a minute. There. Now you're on the screen. So Maria Sebastian is known mostly for her versatility in all things creative. As a musician, she regularly plays classic country, I should say, although I think it's classical, and 80s and 90s alternative, as well as her own singer-songwriter original music, has opened for dozens of national acts in various genres, including recording with many of their members. She has also earned over a dozen music awards locally and nationally, as well as teaching awards in her area, where she's an adjunct professor of English and public speaking in the SUNY system. In 2011, Maria familiarized herself with the Buffalo poetry community, has since been published in dozens of journals, as well as hosting or co-hosting poetry series in her area. While her lyric poets and her poems are lyrical, I find them to be difficult to write simultaneously. It's either a poetry season or a song season. I just listen as the stories decide. So Maria, you're on.
Hello, and thank you for having me. She met a guy. Whenever anyone asks how mom is at the nursing home, I tell them she met a guy. And they smile and say, how cute. He makes her laugh, I add. Lets her beat him at rummy. Repeats her stories to strangers. She was in a beauty contest. She didn't smile or she'd have won. She used to decorate all her houses. He even tells me about myself. You could sing before you could talk. You sang that Debbie Boone song, You Light Up My Life. You were only 4 years old. She told him this weeks ago. Chris was once a substitute teacher. Mom introduces him as a professor of English. What's the difference, really? He is a hero of the humanities, complimenting her rhinestone clasp bracelet, the one she wears to meet him at the card table in the community room, where he hooks her cameo necklace like a nurse and a best friend and a true love, the last voice she would want to hear if she could choose a last to hear. A new friend who knows just enough to validate this version of her, the one she worked all her life to perfect. Okay, so I have two mom poems, and that's the first one. And these are from my newest publication called The Scenery of Saviors, all about people who do anything they can to help others in some way. That's a sort of a loose theme. I want to ask my mother. I want to ask my mother what exactly my father did, what happened all those years ago. But it'll only make her cry. If not at first, soon after. Does she need another reason? I resort to sorting her jewelry drawer for the 20 billionth time, untangling sparkly tumbleweeds, remembering what made Dad laugh, what brought him to tears at night, his silhouette at our kitchen table, chain smoke stroking his hair back. I only know he was sent here, there, wherever they send cracked cameos, and if ever there was one. It is hard to imagine individuals stay in one box for life. I want to ask my mother, but does it matter now? When her mind is on her own flesh, sinking in the palms of her hands, the curve of her pageant-winning neck. I ask if she still needs this keychain. 2 heart-shaped red leather cutouts, baseball stitched together at the edges. Dad made that, she asserts, reminding me of the popsicle stick box he once wrapped for me, embarrassed yet proud. He made it while recovering here, there. I filled it years ago with a few small pieces I gathered. And I'll switch to something a little more buffalo for you. This is a buffalo weather poem. And just think of those really terrible buffalo slushy days when you don't even want to walk 3 steps in it, let alone across any kind of a parking lot. This is called Another Buffalo Banquet. If you park a 10-second walk or less from the main and only reasonable entrance to the Italian place known for big portions, you've arrived early, having been before and agreed to the event with kindness, knowing the night will generally go well. If you park alongside the building, you'll bite your lip and tongue as well during the longer, windy walk, remembering the last time you saw the honored guest, reminding yourself you're doing right, earning good karma to boot. If you park on the street, have to park on the street. Ah, yes, so much for good parking. You wonder, what's this bum ever done for me? I don't even really like him very much anyhow. From what you remember, he's cheap as dirt and the food is probably gone by now anyway. Suppose you end up next building over, becoming that guy who isn't quite blocking the driveway. Don't be a jerk, there's nowhere else to park. You're only here because your wife will be mad, face it. You'll never learn to say no. If you get stuck at the far end of the line of poor bastards who end up on the street, you're here out of obligation and couldn't care less about anyone or anything. The sausage better not be boiled, and damn it, there better be somewhere near it to sit. If you have no choice but to park around the corner, now you're really mad and will have to be late. Don't ever ask me to do this again. If I wanted Italian food, I'd order a pizza, and he'll never notice if I showed up or not anyway. He owes me a pair of shoes, for Christ's sakes. And if you can't find a spot at all, you'll cycle through a range of emotions varying from, he'll never miss me, to, what can you do? There was nowhere to park. Grab a sub on your short drive home. Start the email. Please forgive me, good Johnny. Okay. And I'll end on this one. Middle life. The epigraph is, what if this is as good as it gets? And that comes from the As Good as It Gets movie from Melvin Udall, Jack Nicholson's character. Middle life. I'm a city girl living for long-winded reasons in a speed zone suburb. Early to my son's game, watching the parallel street across the baseball field. 15 miles per hour between 7 and 6 on school days. Cars crawl single file like a funeral procession. I find myself laughing at the lone biker stuck in the middle, a patient pickle. Like me, he wonders if he should or shouldn't die here. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Scott, Maria, and Chris, thank you for your time and your patience with our technical stuff. Thank you to the audience for putting us through everything, sticking up with us as we went through this. So, again, Maria, thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Howard. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all.
You too.
And so we'll sign off for now, and everybody have a good night.